Okay, here we go. So, I've been wanting to do this for a couple of months now. It's basically just a little video in terms of what happened, the autoimmune diseases I got. Reasons I'm doing it: one, I'm still trying to process some of the things. I've kept a pretty chipper attitude, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of stuff that I've forgotten about or just don't sort of talk about. Second is, if I can help somebody else get through something similar, then that's pretty much all I want. I don't want it to sound like it's going to be a pity party. I really hope that it doesn't sound like it's a pity party, but at the same time I am going to probably dive into some stuff that's a bit deep. There are going to be a couple of swear words. If you know me, you know that that's part of my vocabulary. It just is what it is. And if I find that I'm sometimes not looking at the camera, you'll find out why. Because I am, but not always. Okay, so here we go. Where do we start? At the beginning. For those of you who know me, I've been quite into powerlifting since about 2016. I'm always going to use it as a reference because it is a big part of me. And let's kind of start with that. Okay, so 2019 was a year that I really tried to make a change. I felt I'd been stagnant in a lot of areas. Stagnant at work, not stagnant in training, just slow. Everybody knows once you lift for a while, nothing happens quickly. Stagnant in my life. I wanted to give myself a push and really sort of see what fires I could light. So 2019, I set some targets for myself. I threw myself into work. Really try to make a couple of changes, push for growth myself personally and professionally. I wanted to try mentor a couple of the young guys who work with me. Really wanted to try show people what a good place to work at is about. At the same time, I'd also decided that I needed to grow myself from academic knowledge point of view, so I signed up at actually I didn't sign up. I was given an opportunity to study at Gibbs, Gordon Institute of Business Science. I was given an opportunity to study one of their pilot programs. It was a general management qualification, which was really exciting for me because it's the route I was pushing myself for at the time. I was still training, but I decided to take a break from competing. So the last competition I did in 2019 was the SA Champs in March. And then after that, the decision was really just to train as if I was just having one long off season, no prepping for competitions or anything like that. So 2019 was a big year. I mean, I was working hard, I was studying hard. I mean, late nights and early mornings of training. I was training 3 to 4 times a week. I was studying every night, doing assessments. I won't lie, I'd take a couple of nights off. It was sort of Monday to Thursday was heavy nights, and then Friday to the weekend was just a time to try to recuperate. And everything was going really well. Studies had been good. I was cruising it. Not cruising it. I was getting it. I was understanding it. I was enjoying it. I was invested in it. Work was also going well. I was starting to build teams where guys were excited, they were open, they were talking, they were trying things, they themselves were getting involved and being innovative, and training was going well as well. I mean, I wasn't competing, but things were going, numbers were slowly climbing, I was feeling healthy, I was no injuries, strong, things were lacquer. And then towards the end of the year, we made a last minute decision to do the Gauteng Champs qualifier. Had a chat with my coach, and we both discussed about not competing, and then we both kind of felt that it's something that I should have done, that I needed to do, really just to make sure that if I wanted to do SA Champs in 2020, I'd already qualified. The nice thing at that stage is, in terms of qualifying for my groups, I was doing that on my opening lifts, so there was no pressure for me to now have a major peak. There was no massive build into it. I just sort of tapered a little bit and I was good to go. We made that decision probably about 2 weeks out from Gauteng Champs, which, if I remember correctly, was October 2019. Now my dates are probably going to be a little out, a little in. It was 2 years ago. I don't remember everything. and that's also part of the reason why I'm doing this. So Gauteng champs came, we had a good team shout. I had a good day. Mashed PBs on squats, bench, went for a PB on deadlift and got 2-1 on reds, which was, on any other given day I probably would have got it, but I was happy. I mean, I'd qualified on opening lifts, took the pressure off if I wanted to compete at SA champs, and things were great. So after Gauteng champs, the following week we always seem to have like one of those big weeks after a competition, especially not a big competition, but it was a big week. Went into the gym for squats on Monday nights, hit 160 for 8, like a volume PB. I've never hit that, and it was smooth, it was easy. Wednesday came in, bench was also great. I don't remember what I hit on bench that week. But then on Friday morning we had deadlifts, and I woke up and I was like a little tight chested. I thought maybe it was allergies, maybe a bit of my asthma, my eyes were a little itchy, but didn't really think much of it. Went in for training deads on Friday morning. Warm up was a bit tough. Warm up was fucking tough. Got to my first working set, did it, called quits. I was absolutely broken. I couldn't catch my breath, couldn't recover, couldn't get tight, couldn't get pressure. I was broken. I decided, it's probably a bit of post-comp fatigue, big week, maybe I'm getting a little bit sick, maybe there's a cold coming in, call it quits. I wasn't too worried about anything, things happen like that. By that afternoon my eyes had gotten a little bit of red, and I was heavy, I was tired, I felt like I couldn't breathe, so I was definitely thought, well cool, here comes man flu, and we know how men handle man flu, like little babies. Didn't think much of it, went home, took a Corix or a Carenza or whatever the fuck, and sort of left it. So cool, let me put a lot of calories in my body, let me rest up, take it easy, and we'll see Monday, maybe I'll just take a week off of training. By Sunday my breathing was still, it wasn't like I was just struggling to breathe, but my eyes were like really red, like really hectic allergies. They were a bit like scratchy, like sort of post-brandy eyes. So Sunday night ended up at the Olivedale Casualty. Obviously just wanted to get this nipped in the bud. Waited about 2 hours to see a doctor. The guy didn't even look at me. He was like, oh, what's wrong? I said, I can't breathe, my eyes itchy. He said, okay, he has an antihistamine. I dropped and sent him on my way. There was no taking consideration that my heart rate was now starting to elevate. I was fatigued. I had symptoms. He has some antihistamine eye drops, bugger off. By Wednesday, nothing had improved. My eyes were actually even worse. So they were red. I was tired. My walking up a flight of stairs was taking energy. Wednesday I went to go see my GP, who looked at me, looked into the symptoms, and she thought, well, perhaps it's an eye infection. Things pointed that way, and I know in the medical community they always try to do the simplest thing first. So she put me on some antibiotic eye drops, booked me off. No, actually I shouldn't book me off. Antibiotic eye drops, off to the pharmacy, go get them. You should be good. By the following Monday. No, it wasn't. By the end of that week, things were just... Oh, what did I lie? I gave it a week. Sorry, apologies. Cut that out and edit it. So she gave me antibiotic eye drops, sent me on my way. A week later, nothing. I'd finished the antibiotics, my eyes were still permanently red, they were scratchy, it felt like an eye infection, but nothing was working. I was still struggling to breathe. Tracking my heart rate on my Garmin, my heart rate was starting to increase, As a powerlifter we don't do a lot of cardio, so resting heart rate's never a low thing, but it was creeping up from the high 50s, low 60s to now sitting at the high 60s. So eventually I thought, well, okay, hold on, this is obviously some serious allergies, let me sort this out. So I googled around and I found an allergist in Randburg, who was the first specialist I saw. And you'll see, I think in the last 2 years I hit about eight specialists, I think. So I went to see the specialist, the allergist. She did her tests, peak flow meters, pinpricks, all that. Turned out my allergies were a little high, but it was sort of normal for me. But she was really not happy with my eyes. By that time my eyes were red, like Coca-Cola red, and they were dry. and they were sore, and like it just felt like my eyes had a permanent hangover. She didn't like that, and she had a ophthalmologist friend just down the road, which I'm actually incredibly grateful for. So she made a call, said, listen, I've got a patient to see, please make a plan. And luckily Dr. Lathwaite was incredibly helpful. She's like, cool, perfect, I'll see him at 11 o'clock. So had my allergy appointment at 9, 11 o'clock I was at the ophthalmologist. So she looked around at my eyes and poked and prodded and did all the tests and everything, and then she sent me off to go do blood tests, and I thought, well, okay, that's strange, but it's fine. Turns out she had a hunch. So she sent me for my blood tests. This was on the Monday. Tuesday morning, I got a call from her, and I thought, well, fuck, hold on. If the doctor's calling me at 7 o'clock in the morning while I'm dropping my kids at school, something's up. We know doctors only call you at 7 a.m. when something's fucked. So she had tested my thyroid. So she had a hunch. She had a mentor who years ago told her a similar story to what I was going through. She had literally a hunch, tested my thyroid, and found out that my thyroid was poked. I don't remember the exact readings. I think in terms of the T3 my T3 hormone, which is supposed to be at like 9 units per million, was sitting at 36. My thyroid was out of control. I had what we found out on the Wednesday was a proper shit show. So she called me and said, listen, Mr. Lopesha, you need to go see an endocrinologist. You need a specialist. I had no idea what was going on then, so I was like, okay, well, it doesn't sound good. And she said, no, you've got problems with your thyroids, you need to go see somebody. So there I am, Tuesday morning, 7:30 a.m, dropped my kids off at school. My wife's with me because by then, like, my eyes are like really sore, didn't feel like driving, so we did it at a family fair. My wife says, well, look, I've got an endocrinologist. She's been seeing me for also many things that happen. So I called endocrinologist's office, said, listen, I need to see you, I've apparently got quite a big problem. I got told, oh, we'll see you in a week's time or 10 days time. I can't remember what it was. But obviously, specialists, they're busy. They're always trying to see the worst case possible. So I said to her, listen, apparently it's quite urgent. Can you just at least take a look at my test results and then let me know what happens? So I gave them the ID number, gave them permission to access the labs, and I think it was probably an hour later, I got a call from the receptionist at the specialist who said, Dr. Klichowitz, we'll see you tomorrow. So I went from having to wait 10 days to come in tomorrow, we're going to sort you out. If anybody hasn't ever met Dr. Klichowitz, she is probably one of the best endocrinologists in the country. And she specializes in something called hyperthyroidism or Graves' disease, which turns out what I had. So Wednesday afternoon, I think it was about 3 p.m, me and my wife are sitting in Dr. Klichowitz's offices, and she's busy talking through the fact that now my thyroid has decided to poke itself, and I've developed an autoimmune disease called hyperthyroidism, or otherwise Graves' disease. So what Graves' disease basically is, the thyroid just sort of runs on a turbo. It's like sticking NOS into your thyroid and going, run hard. It accounted for my fatigue, it accounted for my heavy breathing, it accounted for my elevated heart rate. As everybody knows, or as hopefully you know, the thyroid controls functions. Metabolism is one of them. High metabolism, heart rate goes up. I think that's pretty much about. We're sitting there in the doctor's office, and she's going through the options. Option 1 is medication. Option 2 was radiation. Option 3 was surgery. Now the doctor wasn't keen on option 2 or 3. To be honest, neither was I. I had no wishes to stick any radioactive material in my body, nor did I want to have a scalpel near my neck. Wait till we find out what happens later. So we elected to go for medication. The only medication currently treats hyperthyroidism is something called neomercazole. One of the things that the doctors have to tell you about is one of the side effects of the drug is prolonged or high use can lead to organ failure. But we were like, oh, what are the choices? We either cut my throat open, wait for me to have a heart attack, or I start taking medication. So popped on the pills, and we went straight off to the horses. I think it was on 35 milligrams a day, just because my thyroid was poked. One of the other things that came out of it was that I had to be incredibly lazy. Now, for somebody who can't sit still really, who's been doing sport or exercise since he was 9 years old, to be told that, listen, you need to not exercise was quite rough. The not exercising was okay, but it was really, I was told to be as lazy as possible. I wasn't allowed to use the stairs at work. You can understand, I mean, I was walking up a flight of stairs and my heart rate would go to 140, 160 beats a minute. I mean, powerlifters are fat and lazy, but we're not that fat and lazy. I wasn't allowed to do any prolonged walking. Couldn't go for a walk around the block, couldn't take the dogs walking. It was so fucked up, I couldn't even play with my kids. Now at that stage, my oldest son was 10, my youngest one was 7. It was summer, I mean, come on. Summer pool, what do? You play. I mean, I'd spent weeks throwing my kids in the water, playing with them, and now I'm told, no. If the only thing you're allowed to do is sit, shit and sleep. And that's what my life became, like, instantly. So I was given medication, I was told to be as lazy as possible, and I was also told to carry on seeing an ophthalmologist. So Graves' disease in men is pretty rare. I think it's like 1 in 200 people, 2,000 people get a thyroid disease. Of that, Graves is rarer, and of the people who get Graves' disease, I think it's 1 in 50 is a man. So it's incredibly rare and something weird to see. One of the associations with hyperthyroidism is 50% of people get what's called as Thyroid Eye Disease, which is where the real shit show started for me. But I'll get into the details of that. So I got sent home, went to clicks, got lots of medication, cost me an absolute fortune because medical aids are bullshit. And there we go, started popping pills to see what happened. So I ended up going back about a week later to see my original ophthalmologist. So now I'm on one ophthalmologist, I can't remember what a allergist is, and an endocrinologist. So that's 3 specialists in a week. No, I lied, 3 specialists in 2 days. So I have to go back and see Dr. Lathwaite, who's my first ophthalmologist. And she makes the decision that I've got thyroid eye disease. That's just the things. I mean, all the things are there. So my eyes are red, they're dry, they're starting to feel a little bit pressurized, and things just don't feel that good. What happens in thyroid eye disease is your immune system decides that the eye muscles and the fatty tissues around the eye are bad, and it goes fuck you and attacks. So while my thyroid is overreacting, my immune system is so what's happening is my immune system's attacking my thyroid because it decides it doesn't like it, and my thyroid, to counteract, is releasing all these thyroid hormones because it thinks that's how you fight. My immune system's now attacking my eyes, and because of that, as soon as you damage something, it becomes inflamed. So the eyes are just becoming inflamed because there's a bit of extra pressure on them, there's irritation and things like that. And for now, we're like, okay, cool, we're going to just treat the symptoms as best we can, and if we're not talking about worst case scenario yet, because hopefully we don't get there. So about 2 weeks go by. We're looking around about middle to 3rd week in November, and my eyes now really start going fucked up. My immune system's attacking my eyeballs, the muscles are swelling, my eyes are getting red, they're getting dry. Because of the swelling, tear ducts getting blocked, things like the drains are getting blocked. Things are starting to become really uncomfortable now. I'm finding that I'm having to put an eye patch on just to sort of take the pressure off. It's really just getting uncomfortable. So now coming into December, again, there's just like another acceleration. So what's happening now is because of the swelling, the muscles that surround, so you've got your optic nerve and you've got your 4 major muscles that surround it and all the other ones. Now those muscles are starting to swell, but now they're swelling inside a skull. So what do? So my eyeballs start now getting pushed out of my skull. It's called proptosis. little bit by little bit, my eyes are now just starting to move forward, like one of those stupid goats from South America. You pull their tails. And because of that, my eyelids are now struggling to close. So when I'm awake, it's no issue. I've got the muscle control to hold my eyelids close and close. But when I'm sleeping now, what's happening is my eyelids are starting to open, which my wife is now completely freaked out. Not because she's worried, but because it's like, oh God, you're sleeping with the eyes open. I joke, she was probably freaking out. She's been an absolute rock through this whole thing. So I was starting to sort of try now sleep with eye patches on, just put a little bit of pressure to help keep the eyelid closed. And that's sort of where we went. What I did find was that heat affected my thyroid, affected my eyes quite badly. So business closed down on the 16th of December for the year. We got 2 weeks leave. I'm still not allowed to do anything. I'm not even allowed to swim. Like if kids jump in the pool, wife jumps in the pool, everybody's playing, and I'm sitting on the step like, look at me. And the one day I remember sitting on the couch watching my youngest son play Minecraft. That's all he wants. Dad, come watch me play Minecraft. I'm like, well, got fuck all else to do. So I'm sitting on the couch. Now I've got my little single seater there, and I'm chilling out. And it's summer, and it's December. Temperatures, I think at that stage we're getting into like the low 30s, like 31, 32 maybe, if it was that hot. But I'm sitting watching this game of Minecraft, and next thing I'm like, whew, like I'm feeling hot. But now, I mean, it's middle of the day. Of course, it's going to be hot. But now I'm like really feeling hot. Like the sweat breaks out on me, but it's like a hot sweat. I'm like, yo, this is actually very uncomfortable. So then I kind of like peel my legs off the couch, and I'm trying to get comfortable, and I feel my arm, and I go like, yo, and like my skin is hot, and like my body is just starting to burn up. I reckon if you'd taken my temperature, it would have been close to 40, if not above 40. And I looked at my wristwatch. Obviously now I'm trying to regulate my heartbeat. So, whenever I see it go up, I've got to be very careful. And it goes up really easy. Like I said, walk up a flight of stairs, it goes up to 160 beats per minute. I've actually got a cool story I'll tell you afterwards. So I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm looking at my heart rate monitor. Now I'm not doing a thing. I'm literally watching Minecraft, which is probably the most boring thing to watch if you're not playing. So there's no excitement going in my life. And my heart and I was sitting at 110. On average, my heart was just sitting at 110 beats per minute. And it goes to 110, 120, 130, and it just climbs and climbs and climbs and climbs. I'd read about these things that I never thought I'd get one, but I was having what's called a thyroid storm. So basically a thyroid storm is when your thyroid has a complete brain fart and says, fuck it, we're done, we're going to kill the system. So I sat there watching, so it dumps all these hormones into your body. Of course, now you've got this super abundance of thyroid hormones, and everything just starts racing. And my heart was like, cool, lekker, let's go for a run. 140, 150, 160, and it just climbed, and it climbed. And the more it climbed, the hotter I got. And funny enough, I couldn't even feel my heart beating. It was going so fast. Like normally you get this like, no palpitations, no nothing. It was just whine. And I peaked out at 196 beats per minute. I had my phone ready to call the ambulance, and I thought, well, what's the point? By the time the ambulance comes, if this doesn't calm down, I'm going to be dead anyway. My heart is literally going to explode. Which is one of the things they tell you in a thyroid storm: you either live or you die. There's no sort of, oh well, that was close. It's you live or you die. And that was my first thyroid storm, and that scared the shit out of me. My heart sat at about 196 beats for about 2 minutes, and then it slowly came down. And as it came down, things cooled down, and by the time it came down to 140, I was like, okay, cool, I'm in the clear. And was I wasted. I felt like I had gone on a run, like a 10-mile marathon, and I don't run. So yeah, that was sort of the first scary thing, and that was the first moment I realized that shit, this is real. So getting back to one of the things with the heart rates is obviously now with my heart being so sensitive to all these things, any sort of physical activity would just get my heart rate up. And I remember going to Foy's Mall to go buy my wife her Christmas present, and I thought, let's see if we can hack the system. So I'm a Discovery member. I got to keep my heart rate up at a certain level for a duration of time, and I get Discovery points. So, true and behold, turn on for cardio, and I go through Foy's Mall. No real effort, just going to go try to find my wife a Christmas present. I spend an hour in Foy's Mall, and I get 300 Discovery points. Now, if you're a Discovery member, you know to get 300 points, 60 minutes of exercise or longer, at a heart rate of 60% or higher. So for an hour walking around shopping, my heart just sat at 135 beats a minute. It was a cool way to hack the system. I literally got more Discovery points between November 2019 and March 2020 than I had in like the 3 years leading up to it. It was fantastic. Like I literally my body hacked the system.
Our show, Hack the Planet. Hack the Planet! And for those late night hacks, Dope Cola.
So December went on. Obviously I had to be careful, couldn't do much, things were lacquer. Christmas came, New Year's came, we had a couple of friends over, we had a good party, had a good time. January, just things went for a fucking shit show. So my Thyroid Eye Disease accelerated in January. Essentially what was happening now is, along with my eyeballs being pushed out of my head, you can see the swelling in my eyebrows. I had these thick purple eyebrows. Like I joked, but it looked like my wife was beating me in my sleep. I woke up every day, these thick swollen eyebrows, these red eyes, and the eyes were just getting further and further and further. I think at their worst they were close to 4 millimeters, half a centimeter outside of my eye socket, which was disgusting. But on top of that, because the muscles were still swelling and swelling and swelling, the eye disease was like, we're gonna take you. My eye muscles actually started crushing my optic nerves. So I started going blind. It started off with first seeing like a little grey circle in the middle of your vision, like it was like a little dot. Like you stare at a light too long and you look away, you get that dot. I had that permanently. And then that dot started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. My eyes started to become very sensitive to light. Like I had to move desk at my office. I had to move from where I was sitting under fluorescent light into a corner. I just couldn't handle the light anymore. My left eye couldn't tolerate the screen properly, so I was wearing an eye patch at work. My right eye wasn't much better. So my left eye couldn't tolerate a screen, and my right eye had this big white patch. It was just growing and growing and growing. And basically the month of January I just spent my time losing my vision. I was seeing my ophthalmologist. She was treating the symptoms as best she could. We were on steroid eye drops and all sorts of eye drops and things like that. Sorry, gym dog is being a pain in the ass. And things were getting serious. So I hadn't stopped driving by then. I was still driving, which was kind of completely irresponsible, but I had to get to work. I didn't really have a choice. So I was kind of dropping the kids off at school, trying not to crash into parents' cars. Then I was driving to work, trying not to crash into anybody. I learned how to drive at 40 k's an hour everywhere. And eventually, towards the end of January, I was basically blind. I'd gotten to the point where I couldn't see anything out of my right eye except this faint image, a circle around the sides. And my left eye couldn't look at a screen, so I was fucking useless. I mean, I was literally sitting without my glasses. It was like this, but now I've got an eye patch, and it was horrible. So on the 23rd of January, I had a follow-up with my endocrinologist. So I went to go see her, and she was quite happy. My thyroid levels were normalizing, but I was sitting in an office wearing sunglasses because I just couldn't tolerate any light. Sunlight, phone light, anything. I couldn't tolerate any of it. She asked to take off my glasses. I took them off, and of course now there's Frankenstein's monster. By then my eyes, I'd started going squint because the muscles had swollen so much. I couldn't actually move my eyes. I couldn't look up, couldn't look down. I was kind of in a fixed position. I didn't have any double vision. I could still see, but you could see my right eye was kind of going a bit skiff. She looked at my eyes and said, "Nope, I'm calling a friend." And she got on the phone with Professor Grant McLaren. Now, Professor Grant McLaren is a specialist in thyroid eye disease. He's sort of like at the forefront of it within the Southern Hemisphere. Lectures at Harvard. Was once knighted by some communities, actually called the Knight of Sight. So she called him and said, "Listen, I've got this patient who needs to see you." Well, Professor McLaren is probably, from what I researched, the best, if not like the top 5 surgeons, ophthalmological. He's an ophthalmologist who specializes in eye disease. He lectures on it, operates on it, does a whole lot of charity work on it, but he's basically the best of the best. So she arranged for us to. She called Professor McLaren. He said, "That's fine. I'll see her. I'll see your patient. I'm on the way home. I'll turn around there. I'll go meet you at the hospital." So we went straight from Rosebank Clinic through to Donald Gordon Hospital. Met with Professor McLaren. Shortest consult I've ever had with a specialist in my life. 5 minutes. He sat down, told him I got Graves' disease, told him Dr. Lathwaite had diagnosed me with thyroid eye disease. He asked how bad it was. I said, "I can't see you." He said, "What?" Put his hand out like this. I said, "I can't see it." I could see the halo around him, but the hand was gone. Like literally, it was almost like, I said, it's hard to explain, but it's just like a grey out. You can see grey and that's it. He obviously was a bit concerned about this. So we went down to radiology, booked me in for a CAT scan and said, "Let's go actually see what's happening." So climb in the machine, it was actually quite nice. Climb out, he looks at the results and says, "Cool, we're doing surgery tomorrow." We were like, "What?" He says, "Nope, you've got to do orbital decompression." We're like, "What is that?" He says, "No, it's basically you're going to lose your eyesight if we don't hurry up." Turns out if I'd waited an extra day, I probably would have lost my sight permanently. Which, it's a good thing that they tell you these things after the surgeries. But yeah, if I'd waited an extra day, because obviously, when you get scared of things, you don't do them. Put it off. If I'd waited another day, or if I hadn't seen Dr. Klitschewitz on that Thursday, I would have been blind permanently. Basically, no option for the nerves to recover. So, call the hospital. Well, medical aid starts booking in for surgery. Professor McLaren says, "No, look, it's a normal sort of surgery, but you need to have it happen." Of course, I call work, say, "Look, I've got the surgery. I have to have it, or I'm going to go blind. I'll be in. I will come in on the Friday morning to make sure everything's ready to go for me to have surgery in the afternoon," which was one of my fucking stupidest things I've ever done. I've done a lot of stupid things, but that was a fucking joke, thinking that the place couldn't cope without me. Went into work on the Friday morning, and at that stage I was wearing dark glasses all the time. Either had my eye patch in, I'd caught an Uber to work, the wife was going to pick me up. 24th of January 2020, wife picks me up from work 12 o'clock, off to Donald Gordon Hospital. Obviously now they're squeezing me in around previously scheduled surgery, so it's not like it's not like the eagle lands and gets taken into surgery. So eventually I get taken into surgery at, must have been about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. By then, very grateful my kids are being looked after by my sister-in-law and her husband. They were also rocked through this period. Wife's been sitting with me the whole time. If you go browse my Instagram, there's a sexy picture of me in a nightie, waiting for surgery. I don't know what's going on. All I know is surgery has to happen to save my lives. Well, it has to save my eyes. So eventually the doctors come, they wheel me away. My wife says, "Well, while I'm having the surgery, she'll go home, check on the kids, and then come back later." In the theatre by 6 o'clock, by 9 o'clock I still wasn't out. Wife's a little bit panicky. Doctors don't, the nurses don't know what's going on. Nobody's really giving information. Eventually, I was probably, I was high as a kite by the time I came out of surgery. It was probably about 10 o'clock at night. I probably came out about just after 9, 10 o'clock. I vaguely remember seeing my wife, she bought me a bar of wine and a Coke, which I was very grateful for the next day. Couldn't feel shit, couldn't see shit. Eye patches on, I was just like, and she went home. So the next day, next morning, she came through to visit me, and I was in excruciating fucking pain. Like sore as shit. Nurses came, gave me some pain pills, and I sat and I waited and I waited. Still got these eye patches on. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like the eyes, like my eyes just feel. I just feel like I got 12 rounds with Mike Tyson on a bad day. Professor McLaren comes along and basically says, "Look, we had to do a lot more work than we initially thought." As I find out much later, it was one of the toughest orbital decompressions he ever had to do. So he did orbital decompression on both eyes. Did the maximum amount of work he could do without my eyeballs falling through my skull. Essentially what they do is they go into your skull and they grind away bone between your various sinus cavities and your eye sockets to allow space for the muscles to move around. The shit thing with thyroid eye disease is there's no cure, there's no treatment for the swollen muscles. Once the muscles swell, they become scar tissue. So they never go back to their original size, they lose their ability to produce force, they basically become like fucking pieces of bolt-on. But now they still crush the nerves, so how do you reduce the pressure? Option one is you go and remove fatty tissue, option two is you grind bone away. They grind so much bone away now that on a good day I can put an eye drop in my eye and taste it in my nose. There's holes in the sinus, there's holes between my eye sockets and my sinus cavities. They did floors of the eye sockets, medial and lateral sides. They basically ground away everything they possibly could. But already when he took the eye patches off, I could see a lot better. Pressure released. I still couldn't differentiate like textures and things like that. So like it was like life was on beauty filter mode. Like you take a selfie and you put beauty filter up to 9 and it's painted smooth, like somebody lacquered on makeup. That's what the world looked like to me. But at that stage it was 2 worlds. So one of the complications for the orbital decompression is the chance of double vision. So obviously what happens is these muscles have swollen, they cut space and the muscles pull away. So if you've got your eye here and the muscle here and it's also can move, it pulls. So now that happened on both my eyes. I came out looking like Steve Buscemi in the Adam Sandler movies where he wears that fucking ice fishing hat. My right eye was looking that direction, my left eye was looking that direction. Because there was no elasticity in the muscles, I couldn't line them up and I had pretty fucking horrible double vision. Nothing they could do about it at that stage, but basically the world now just became this mirror. I couldn't look at anything. In fact, I remember if I wanted to look at you in the face, I had to kind of like do this. But now I can't even look at the camera like that. But my vision was back. Well, it was coming back. I was booked off I put in 2 weeks of sick leave because Google research says now you'll be healed in 2 weeks. And I went home. One of the weirdest things from the surgery was all the grinding and vibrations. You got a nerve that runs through here. It runs just under the eye sockets. And the nerve, when it gets lots of vibration, it actually shuts down. Like the brain says, cool, I'm turning that switch off. And that nerve gives you all the feeling in your teeth. So I'd lost all the feeling in my top teeth. I think I could feel my molars, but everything going forward was just numb. You got to punch me. I would have been like, yeah, whatever. By then I already had quite a nice little beard going. Couldn't feel if I had a runny nose, which was also awesome. But I was grateful. I got sent home, given a steady diet of still pain, and I was told I had to sleep upright for at least a month. So we got home, set up, luckily I got recliner chairs. I set up a recliner chair in the lounge, and for the next month I would send my wife to bed at like 8 o'clock at night. Well, she'd go watch TV in bed and I would try and sleep in the lounge. Yeah, I'm realizing there's lots of details I've forgotten about, taping my eyes closed and using glue and all sorts of things, but we can talk about that at another stage. So there I am, Sunday after surgery, just feeling fucked up properly. Come Monday, the eye patches come off, and now what I have to do is I have to sit now with ice patches on my eyes, because obviously now we're trying to reduce the inflammation as much as we can. We're trying to keep the swelling down. My eyes look terrible. You get your eyelids, like, because of all the swelling, your eyelids like flip inside out. There's stitches all over my eyes. One's poking the eye. You're swollen. I mean, it's like fucking guinea pig cheeks. And it was fucking uncomfortable. But we were on the road to recovery. So I remember first couple of days I just sat and I listened to podcast after podcast after podcast. I remember pulling my phone out and sort of peeking down under the things and trying to find a podcast, and I found the Tim Ferriss Podcast. And I'll tell you, that guy got me through the worst fucking times in that first week. If anybody knows Tim Ferriss, tag him, I'll tag him. But that guy's podcast got me through 5 days of just pure shit. But by the second week, things were kind of starting to feel better. I'd started getting up and going for walks, which was, I'm pretty sure the neighbours found quite interesting. A guy going for a walk around the block with like one eye covered in an eye patch, and not just like a pirate one, like nice gauze one. Day 2 of my walk, that was off, but now I had sunglasses on. I remember bumping to one of my neighbours and he was talking to me, and I had to like literally turn my head like this so I could look him in the eye, and he was like, "What?" But yeah, the eyes were feeling better, but obviously the double vision was a complete shit show. But I suppose there was no rest for the wicked. Started getting calls from work in my second week of recovery asking me to sort out things. So 2 weeks of post-surgery recovery. I should have taken another 4 weeks. But I was under immense pressure to get back to work. You know, it's unfortunately in what I do, the first 3 months of the year are critical in terms of business revenue. I was under pressure to get back to work. I went back to work in week 3, kitted out like a pirate. So no, I couldn't drive. I mean, obviously now with a world like that, driving was impossible. So my wife we would drop the kids off in the school in the morning. My wife had changed her route to work, would drop me off at work, and then I would either catch an Uber home or ask a lift from somebody on the way home. And that's pretty much how my life went from January through to March when we hit lockdown. My Uber bill was a fortune. I had to work, so obviously now I had to look at a screen for work. My eyes still didn't tolerate screens. They still don't really. If you ask anybody in my household, I don't watch TV anymore. I just would rather do anything else than put that strain on my eyes. But there I am at work. My accounts manager, a lovely lady, managed to find me a really comfortable eye patch, a nice material one, the convex, and didn't touch my eyeballs or anything like that. And there I was sitting, ready to go to work and trying to decide which eye got the eye patch. The problem was my actual visual acuity, the ability to, for wearing glasses, was a bit fucked up. So the one eye that could tolerate the screen, which was my left eye, couldn't really focus properly. My right eye, which could focus fantastically, couldn't tolerate the screen. it was weird. I would try and read an email, and with my left eye, it was like sort of I had this sort of like ghosting, which is from astigmatism apparently. So it's like these ghost images. So it was difficult to read. And if I tried to read it with my right eye, I had to read words peripherally because the damage on my optic nerve was still so bad I couldn't see things in the middle, especially text. So if I tried to read an email, I'd be like, "Dear John, hope," the word I was looking at couldn't see well. So I elected to just put the eye patch on my right eye and I started working like a pirate. Had to take breaks fairly regularly, had an ice patch at work. I'd moved myself into an even darker corner, but I was asked to move desks for reasons I won't go into. So I was moved from where it was comfortable into straight under another fluorescent light. Luckily I got guys at the office who know what they're doing and they kind of helped me turn the lights down a little bit. And that's where we were from January through to March. Obviously end of March lockdown came, people got sent home and I was quite happy. Working from home was nice because I could control the lighting in the room. Things were comfortable. I could go and get motion sick while jumping on the trampoline with the kids. Kept myself busy with work, but I was able to do the things that were helping recovery. I was able to take daily walks. I was able to sleep a bit more because I didn't have to get up for like an extra hour early. And I just kind of got used to. Okay, so there we were work-wise. Health-wise, I was doing okay. The return to work was too soon after the surgery. My eyes were in such a bad place. My surgeon actually wanted to book me off for 6 months. He had written a letter to have me medically boarded, but obviously bills to pay. I had to get back to work. Health-wise, as I said, things were going better. Thyroid levels were coming under control. They were slowly decreasing. Medication was working. As that was happening, I could come off the medication a bit more. I was eating cortisone like Smarties though. Obviously the amount of grinding and cutting and jigsawing or whatever the fuck they did in my head took quite a lot of damage on my eyes. I was swollen for 3-4 months after the surgery. I was eating cortisone, literally 45 milligrams a day was this sort of standard thing, taking 9 little pills of prednisone. But things were looking up. My eyes still couldn't tolerate much, but they were better. Lockdown came, people got sent home, things kind of relaxed a little bit. Obviously stress from lockdown, nobody knew what the fuck was going on. The world changed like that and we sort of carried on. It wasn't all bad though. Come March, 5 months after my diagnosis, so towards the end of March, I was given the go-ahead to start exercising again, which couldn't have come at a better time. At that stage, I didn't know what I was capable of though, so, I've been very blessed in terms of having a nice home gym setup. Spent years training with the guys at the Art Athletic, the guys at Performance Purist, having access to coaches and trainers, having access to these amazing facilities, but at the same time, I had everything I needed at home. So we set up the garage gym, took it out of the original gym space. I wanted a bit more space to work and I sort of got to it. Started at the bodyweight squats, doing 5 at a time, push-ups 5 at a time, pull-ups 25, never. I still can't even do 25, but I could start moving, I could start exercising again, which for somebody who was who's driven by movement, who's driven by purpose and activity, it was fucking amazing. I spent probably, I'm trying to remember, I think it was I had a 6-week plan to get back onto the barbell, slowly growing. About 4 weeks into that, I put the barbell on my back and it was amazing. My eyes were a risk. I didn't know what I was doing. Obviously, I don't think the surgeon really understood what I did from an exercise point of view. I said, I gym a lot. is I had a feeling he thought of like pec decks, and I don't think he really understood in terms of what I did from an exercise point of view. But yeah, we started slow. I remember squatting on the bar, doing sets of 10 with just the bar, just to learn how to do the movement again. I mean, I had 5 months of absolutely nothing. And it was amazing. I mean, doing deadlifts with kettlebells, 16 kilo deadlifts, and going, whoa, I'm working hard here. Literally getting stiff from air squats and push-ups and things that you take for granted. You sort of get to a point in your training career, like air squats, push-ups, whatever, do them for breakfast. You get humbled. You start learning. And that was really when I started fully trying to get onto the attitude of gratitude. It sounds stupid, but the one thing I said in the beginning was I was never going to let this turn into woe is me, poor me, my life sucks. I saw from the very beginning that this would just be opportunities. So in the 5 months that I wasn't allowed to exercise, cool, I got to talk to my kids a shitload more. I didn't get to see them, but I got to talk to them. I got to listen to things. I got to sort of explore and learn and grow. Yeah, so as I was saying, so in the 5 months that I wasn't allowed to exercise, I learned a lot about myself. In the beginning, it's kind of strange. People talk about stripping your identity away, and in a way it did. It forced me to grow in terms of learn about more than powerlifting, but at the same time it reaffirmed that strength is what I am, it's what I want to be, it's what I believe in. I had to focus on having strength here, internally, so that I could be strong externally. I learned that it doesn't matter what you do in a gym or on a sports field or whatever, you're not strong here, if you're not good here, you're fucked. And I grew that strength, and I didn't grow it on my own. As much as a lot of this is done on your own, none of it was done on my own. Obviously my wife's been my rock. She has literally held my hand through everything. But I had good friends. I had surprising friends. People who I didn't think would reach out as much as they did contacted me so much more with words of support than I ever thought I'd get from them. I also learned about friends who were actually really fair with the friends, and it was weird. You kind of your life gets kind of flipped, and the understanding's different. But there it was. Okay, so lockdown came. I was able to start exercising. Sitting at work, eye patch on constantly. I even tried to read a book once, and that got me about 3 pages in before my eye was like, fuck you. But yeah, I mean, I as shit as everything was, I was actually enjoying it. I was getting an opportunity to learn about myself. I was getting an opportunity to see how much grit and determination I had. I mean, I'm not a great powerlifter. I'm average at best, but I had everything stripped away. I was starting from the beginning. Bar squats, 60 kilos. I think I remember recording the first time I squatted 100 kilos after my surgery, and I was like, fuck, yes! And it was nice. I was learning about the people around me. I was learning the people who I could count on, the people. And when I say count on, not necessarily, oh, I'm in trouble, help me out. The people who would just be like, hey, how are you doing? Or, hey, how are you doing? And we could have conversations and talk and bounce ideas from. And I also learned and it's not a negative thing, but I did learn a lot about people who are negative, or toxic in your life. It was an opportunity to try to get rid of them. I haven't gotten rid of all of them, but I've learned how to disconnect myself from that group. So lockdown came, working from home, kids are at home, spending lots of time with the kids, working, being productive, starting to exercise again. Things were fantastic. I think it was June last year I came off my thyroid medication. My thyroid had settled down enough where it was no longer a danger. all my thyroid hormone levels had returned to normal, T3, T4, TSH. I should know more about them, but eventually you get tired of hearing the acronyms. But everything was good. My liver was okay at that stage. I wasn't too worried about anything. And it looked like we were around. I just had to sort of learn to deal with eye patches. But having the eye patch again was cool. People, like when you go out in public wearing an eye patch, because it really was. I mean, I got to the point in my life where I wasn't going to not wear my eye patch because I was embarrassed about it. I just got so tired of seeing this double mirror image all the time. Eventually what happens is your brain kind of turns off one eye. So you'll see the world in this 2D flat image, but it's fine. You see one image. And then like next thing your brain goes, oh wait, hold on, there's a right eye again, and it'll throw over the image. And then next thing you get this, like John Cena, you can't see me, but you can see everything twice, and it's all skew as well. So at that stage then I started getting ready for my first corrective surgery. So the corrective surgery was planned so we could try to realign the eyeballs. So it's called a Scribbism Surgery. What they do is they knock you the fuck out, thankfully. In some countries they do it while you're awake, so this is fucked up. They knock you out, roll your eyeball to the side, and then there's a layer of call it eyeball skin around the eye. They cut that open and they go hook your eye muscles. They cut the eye muscle off and reattach it in a different position. The idea is if my eyeball is sitting skew like this, well, if I cut the muscle off here and I reattach it here, they can try and line it up. The awesome thing about it is, I was like, hell, lekker. Here we go, opportunity is coming knocking, maybe I'll see properly again. So I think it was the 30th of September 2020, I went into surgery again. Luckily a minor surgery by their books. At that stage we were COVID testing, so you had to COVID test a couple of days before your surgery, get the clearance, isolate, and then I was booked off for a couple of days afterwards. So the first surgery was quite hectic. They actually did both eyes. They did the bottom of my left eye, I think it was, and the top of my right eye. They cut the muscles off, realign. There's no scientific way to get them to line up. What they do is they do a whole bunch of measurements. You look at things and then you look at it with your other eye, and they try and judge and guess. Well, if we have to move the eye by 4 millimeters, it should hopefully line up with the other eye. At that stage I was seeing an optometrist, specialist number 4 I think, and she was doing all the measurements. Saw her after every eye session I had with my surgeon, and they were confident they could sort of get things to line up. So 30th September I went in for surgery, snip snip cut cut, came out and things were kind of overcorrected. So what had happened is, with my eyeballs being like that, instead of them coming to that, they kind of went to that. So I still had the double vision. It wasn't as bad, which was quite weird, because for me that was worse than the first time. The first set of double vision was my hands were like, if you would see two hands like that, I was seeing like that. I mean, they were so fucking far. With the corrective surgery though, it wasn't close enough that my brain could do the match, but it was far enough that I would see two images. So life carried on as a pirate. Eye patch on. Anything I did, I basically had the eye patch on. It was just so much, it was just easier way to get it. I mean, there's videos of me squatting with eye patches, benching with eye patches, deadlifting with eye patches. Ironically, before the corrective surgery, I used to squat with the eye patch just because it would help with my balance. Otherwise, what would happen is halfway through a squat, my right eye would take over and the wall would tilt to the right. But it was cool, we were one step closer. So the surgeon was quite happy with it. He said, look, maybe one more surgery and we'll be good to go. At this stage though, come September, end of September, my liver started showing fluctuations. Nothing hectic, like liver function was still fine, but I just started having elevated liver enzymes. So of course my endocrinologist at that stage was like, go see the liver specialist, who turns out to be a gastroenterologist. I was like, cool, I'll go see them, and I never did. Eventually I did, but at that stage I was like, I'm tired of bad news. I don't want to go through this crap anymore. If I don't know, it doesn't exist, and that was just really stupid. My thyroid, in June this year, my thyroid was in remission for a year, so that kind of sorted itself out. It came on really aggressively, fucked me up properly, but it went away quite comfortably, and I haven't had really any complications from that. I have had to learn to manage my stress a bit better, which I fucking suck at. I'm really not good at doing that. Got to manage my salt intake, or my iodine intake. Too much iodine could trigger it off again. But otherwise, the only thing left in my thyroid is really just keeping an eye on some things. In February or March this year, I had to go for a sonar scan on my thyroid. Standard procedure, just to make sure that it hasn't hardened up or anything. They picked up a nodule or a lump or something on the one side of the thyroid. The doctor at that stage is not too worried about it, but I got a follow up in November this year, 2021, next month, just to see. Obviously, I can feel if it swells. I can feel if it's if it's under pressure. You can hear my voice also. Sometimes you'll talk to me and it sounds like I had a bender. So from September 2020 through to January 2021, the eyes are slowly recovering. I still got the double vision, working with the eye patch. My left eye is starting to tolerate screens a little bit better. My right eye is also starting to come in line. Like, I can look at the TV for a little bit of time then, but still, like, just screens are painful. And yeah, we're sort of plugging along. We made the decision in December 2020 to do a second corrective surgery, and that was scheduled for the end of January 2021. Okay, so here we are. Second surgery has been decided and planned for end of January 2021. We're not going to do both eyes though. The risk is too great. So we're just going to try to get the eyes aligned as best they can. One surgery, one shot last time. Again, 30th of January, I think it is. Into hospital, another COVID brain scrape, surgery on the right eye, come out of surgery, and things are 99% accurate, which is probably the most annoying fucking thing on the planet. I think if anybody out there who's had these surgeries know, it's easier to have a complete fuck show or be perfect than it is to have little fucking correction. Surgeon's happy with it. He says it's as close as they're going to get. The problem is they can't do another surgery. A third surgery, or I could request one and insist on one, but the risk with a third surgery is if they overcorrect by even as much as a millimeter, it'll throw off my vision. He says the problem is once you get past correction, you get into overcorrection, it just exponentially multiplies. So whereas if you correct 1 millimeter, you get that little bit of difference. If you overcorrect 1 millimeter, you get that bit of difference. So I'm sort of stuck now with this 99% allied eye vision. You'll see most of the time, if I look at myself in the camera, you can see I can't look at people. I can't look at things straight anymore. So I've always got a slight tilt and a slight look down. That's the only way my eyes now get me 3D vision. So if I look straight here at the camera, I start getting a little bit of a blur. And as soon as I've done this, I've hardly moved my head at all, but I've got these like massive double vision. And if I do that, I've got one camera there, one camera there. The eyes just, the muscles don't work properly anymore. They don't line up properly. Essentially what's happened is the eye muscles have lost all their elasticity. So whereas you can pull a muscle and it bounces back, now I pull and it stays there. So the eye muscles have to consistently work to keep movement going. I've got limited movement in my eyeballs, so I don't know, let's try this. If I try to look up, you can kind of see things don't work. Looking down gives me just huge double vision. And looking left and right has actually gotten better. But what it's left me with is double vision to anything on my right hand side. So apologies if I look at you funny if you're standing on my right hand side. I just don't know which part of you I'm looking at. I've got double vision, skewed double vision looking down, which is now why I thought I will be permanently bearded for the rest of my life. After my first corrective surgery, I tried to shave because obviously I'd grown the beard when my eyes were stuck in my head and they couldn't move. I grew the beard. It was impossible to shave. I did a shave after my first corrective surgery, cut the shit out of my face and decided, well, that's the end of my shaving days. After the second corrective surgery, I thought about shaving and landed on the beard, looked down, and I couldn't actually see myself in the mirror. So that's where my eyes are at the moment. I've got limitations. Obviously I have glasses now, which has helped a lot with text and writing and things like that, but from a sensitivity point of view, my eyes get incredibly dry. The reason being is when your eyes swell with these diseases, when they get pushed out of your skull and all that, things happen. My tear ducts have been crushed, so I've got sort of semi-working tear ducts. What it means is I'm permanently using eye drops. I can't cry, which for an oak he used to can't cry. So for a guy who used to cry during puppy adverts and things like that, it's fucking terrible. And it sounds strange. I love a good cry. But we carry on. I look at it and go, well, there's a million people out there with things a hell of a lot worse than me. I mean, while I've gone through this whole ordeal, my cousin in Australia went through cancer, chemotherapy, radiation treatment. I know another guy from Mozambique who had the same disease as I, who actually lost his vision completely. At the time of my orbital decompression, I was actually discussed on roundtables around the world. I had some of the worst thyroid eye disease around. I think at my first corrective surgery, I was one of 4 people worldwide who had experienced it so bad. Health-wise, thyroid, we'll see next month, November 2021. I'll find out what the nodule looks like, if it's grown, if it's whatever it is. Whatever it is, I'll take it on and I'll fight it and I'll beat it. That's what we do. My liver enzymes continued to increase. September, October, November, December, things kind of grew and grew and grew. I had 1 month where they went down, which was, I think, was an anomaly. Eventually, though, a year after being told to see the liver specialist, I went and actually saw them. When was it? September this year. Liver enzymes, the ALT and AST, through the roof. Liver function is still okay, which is a good thing, but essentially what I have is I've got a form of fatty liver disease. Now the problem is that I don't know what's caused it. The reality is it could be genetics, it could be food that I eat. I don't eat terribly, I do like a chocolate, or 3. Could have been damage from the medication, from the thyroid medication I was on. So that's my next challenge for now. I'll keep you up to date on how that goes. But going forward, I think I've come through the worst of it. So where to from now? We just carry on. that's all I've done. Keep an eye on the liver. Hopefully that comes right with changing a little bit of diets, trying to reduce my stress even further. I think stress management's become the biggest challenge in my life at the moment. I don't know how to finish this off. Like I said here, there's a million little things that I haven't told you. Just try to get through sort of the chunk of it to give people an idea in terms of you can have a whole lot of shit thrown at you, but you got to decide in terms of what do you do with that shit. Do your struggles break you? Or do they make you? That sounds cliched, and I hate cliches used by the wrong people, but I love cliches used by the right people. Hopefully I'm the right person to use it, but it's true. I had 2 thyroid storms. I told you about the first one. I was legally blind at one stage. I had literally 30% of my vision. I've got a liver that's not coming along to the party, but I refuse to let these things become a downer. I refuse to let them become excuses or reasons to not do something, and in fact I'm trying to use them as motivations to do things. You'll see I'm trying to post a lot about in terms of what the grindhouse is and grindhouse strength, and I'll do a separate video on that. There's nothing that's big yet, but it's a movement that I want to try to get going. I'm trying to use what I've gone through to help people get through their own things. As I said, my cousin in Australia, the two of us, we lent on each other quite a bit. Never met her. Found out we were cousins through Facebook. How fucked up is that? But we ended up leaning on each other, helping each other out. My wife's gone through her own health issues. I know hundreds of people who've gone through things that are a million times worse than mine. I don't want to think that what happened to me was bad. It was good. It was great. It was an opportunity for me to get my fucking ass in gear and start learning and growing and being the person that I want to become. A lot of lessons I learned, a lot of cliches, and not even cliches. Cliche is the wrong word. I've grown as a person. There's a lot of mantras that I've learned, that I've come up with, that I've developed and I believe in. Things that I'll say to people who are going through rough times, and hopefully it helps give them a little bit of strength and gives them a little bit of glimmer and hope. And that's what I want this video to become. I mean, it's I have no idea how long it's going to be. Maybe half an hour, maybe an hour. But I'm hoping that, you know, if you get through it, you can show it to people who need help. You know, if you're going through shit, reach out to me. As I said, I did everything on my own, but I did none of it alone. That's actually something really cool, and I just came up with it now. You have to do everything on your own. Nobody can do these things for you, but you cannot do it alone. And that's what you got to understand. No matter what you're going through, people will be there for you. It may not be the people who you want there for you, and that's fine. You can do anything you want to, as long as you have the strength inside here. And that strength comes from a choice, as far as I'm concerned. You can either choose to let life beat you, or you can choose to overcome it, be stronger, be better. Something that I use it now for everything, is just to be better. Whether it is 1% or 100% in whatever you do, whether it's in the gym or at work or in your personal life, be a better husband, father, son, wife, business owner, daughter, whatever. Be a better lifter, be a better athlete, be better. But that's a choice that you got to make. And I'm going off topic on a complete rant. So yeah, I'm hoping that I'll be able to talk to more people, that I can reach more people. You know, I want to out of this challenge, I really want to be able to talk to people, get online, talk, interact, help. yeah, look, essentially I just wanted to put this out there to kind of for me to talk about my story. I've never really spoken about it before, other than to a couple of people. But hopefully, you know, if you're lacking a bit of strength and a bit of inspiration and that, hopefully this gives you a little bit to know that you can really overcome anything that you want. I'm actually quite proud that I don't go into all of my lifting details and that. Just to let you know, from where I was 2 years ago to today, I'm probably as strong as I was, if not stronger. And that in itself is hopefully enough of a reason to carry on pushing on. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. You want to know anything else, let me know, reach out. If you know anybody who needs to chat about anything, again, reach out. As we said, we don't do this, we do this on our own, but never alone. Until then guys, be better, finger guns,